Good news, everyone! Football Manager 2023 is finally out in its beta form. You probably already know that, to be honest with you. This is going to be released on the Friday. It was released on the Thursday, so you're probably already aware of that. But none of that is important. What is important is it's out, we can play it, which means it's time for the Chelsea beta save. How you doing, guys? And welcome to Football Manager 2023 and welcome to the Chelsea beta save. I'm Stu. Thank you for joining me in the first episode of this mini-series where we're just going to get used to how the club runs. And if you're excited to see what shenanigans we get up to in Football Manager 2023, then please do leave a like on the video for me and subscribe so you never miss any of the lovely Football Manager content that is to come from this face right here. Let's just get into it, shall we? We are Chelsea Manager. It's very exciting. I've never managed Chelsea before in Football Manager. This is going to be very interesting. Chelsea have today confirmed the appointment of Stu FM as the club's new manager. Yeah, boy. Eyebrows have been raised in the world of football at the appointment of the inexperienced 31-year-old. I wish I was still 31. And he is sure to face plenty of questions when he faces the media for the first time at Stamford Bridge. FM has put pen to paper on a 2-year deal worth £130,000 a week. FM gods, if you can make that a reality for that wage, I will never besmirch you. I will never say anything bad about you. He replaces previous manager Graham Potter. Unlucky Graham. FM lacks the reputation of a title specialist. Well, we've all read the spiel before. Let's just get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? That's what I look like in-game, apparently. I've looked worse. Let's get going. Let's get into it. So we are a 4.5-star reputation team. The media predicts us to finish 5th. I want us to finish in the Champions League spots for this season. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. Long history with the club. Absolutely fantastic trophy cabinet. And we are entering at the group stage of Champions League, entering a third round of Carabao Cup, entering third round of FA Cup, all the usual stuff. But we did finish 3rd in the league last year, so that is what we need to beat. We've got great facilities as well. We've got a good stadium. It's an old stadium, but it's a good stadium. And our fierce rivals, Millwall. And that is apparently the best 11. I can't see myself using a 5 at the back. I will have a play around to see what we could possibly do. I don't see it happening that way, to be honest with you. But, I mean, the players that we've got some exceptional talent. We've got some old men as well, so we do need to have a look at the squad and see what we can do. I think it's going to be absolutely fine. I should have looked at what that was, really. That's the club vision and stuff. We'll look at that a little bit closer on the next screen, and we'll just change that to every month as well. But we are welcomed in, and we are here. And as you can see, haven't made a single save file yet, so we'll make that save file. We'll let the game save. And I'm really excited to get going because I have not looked at Football Manager 2023 yet. This is my first time looking at it with you guys, and it's very, very exciting. So obviously we've got to come with a tactical direction. That's normal. This is what I'm really intrigued to see. Supporter profile. Wow, this is pretty cool. I really, really like the fact that this has been put into the game. So as we can see, we've got a huge section for our core fan base, the largest section actually in the ground. We've got the fair weather fans over here as well. We've got a bit of corporate, some casuals over in the corner over here, and we've also got the hardcore fans just over here as well. So we have got an interesting split of what the fans look like as well. The influence on the board is actually quite low, so we don't necessarily need to worry too much about what we do on the pitch and what we do with transfers and stuff to please the fans. The board ain't going to care too much about that. We have a lot of supporters. We have a I love this. I love the fact that they've put this stuff in. A waiting list for season tickets. That's really interesting. But they want us to be challenging for the Premier League. They want us to play entertaining, attacking football. They want us to sign good players. If we come up against Millwall, they want us to batter them. They want us to finish above Spurs, finish above Liverpool, finish above West Ham. That's an unusual one. But then that's a London club, I suppose, so it's not really. And finish above Arsenal as well. Love that. Big thumbs up from me on that. Club vision and expectation we'll do in a minute. But yeah, it just looks all so pretty. We've got the squad planner as well, which, okay, that makes sense. So we have to make a tactic first. You know what my tactics are like if you watched any of my videos. If you haven't watched any of my videos, go ahead and give them a watch. I'm going to put a playlist up in one of the corners for one of my FM22 saves, just so you can get a flavour of what I'm all about. But let's have a look at the tactical direction in a minute. But we'll first look at the club expectations. Let's have a nose at what the club wants us to do. So, they want us to sign under 23-year-olds. They want us to develop a youth system that's the best in the country, in the league, and in the world. Don't want much, do they? They want us to increase the commercial revenue, which is going to be by signing high reputation players, I am sure. Usually, when you hover over it, it tells you exactly what it is. It's not doing that. I don't like that. Work within the range budget, fine. Sign players sell for a profit, that's required, so Okay, and grow the club's reputation. I mean, it's already very high, so that's going to be difficult. Contract-wise, it's minimum 1 year for players over the age of 34, 2 years for over 32, and 4 years for the rest of the first team. And in terms of what they want us to do, we've already discussed it a little bit. It's qualify for the Champions League, it's challenge for the FA Cup, challenge for the UEFA Champions League, and be competitive in the Carabao Cup. So basically, finish in the top 4, get out of the group stage and go as far as we can in the Champions League, and do what we can in the domestic cup competitions as well. Get to the latter stages effectively. And next season they want us to win the UEFA Champions League Champions Path. I don't really know what that means, but we'll get to that next season. That's not for us to worry about. That's future Stu's problem. We'll just confirm all of that. No point trying to argue about anything at this point. We'll leave things as they are here as well. So the one thing we do need to discuss is transfers. Obviously, I want to make some business. I want to make some things happen. We don't have the biggest budget to do it. £13.5 million is currently in the transfer kitty, and we have £150,000 in the wage budget. But we have a bunch of these clauses, and we're probably going to have some dead wood to sell as well. So I have not set up my proper squad screen here. I'm going to set that up, and then when I've done that, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk through the squad, and we're going to look at what we can do to try and make it a squad we think is going to be good enough to maybe challenge for the Premier League. At least, if not this season, set us up to do it for next season. Give me a moment. I'll be back with you. Okay, after having a bit of a fiddle and a play around, this is going to be, I think, our best 11 and I think our best formation to go with. It's a 4-2-3-1. Obviously, in real life, Chelsea use 3 at the back or 5 at the back, however you want to look at it. I've never really got on with that formation, that type of formation in FM. One day I am going to conquer it. I'm going to conquer my fear of it. But I think we're going to go with this. A 4-2-3-1. I know it's not the most inventive in the world. We're not reinventing in the wheel. I was considering this, but I was also thinking as well about maybe a 4-3-3 with a holding midfielder. And maybe we'd do something like this with the central midfielder on attack, bursting forward as well. Undecided. I think if we get in a proper striker instead of Kai Havertz, we might move to this, but I think while we've got Kai Havertz as a deep line forward, because that is his best position as a striker. I mean, he can do advanced forward, but I think a deep line forward will just make more of his passing ability and his vision. I don't necessarily like the... I mean, to be fair, what would he be like if I do advanced forward? What would he be like as an advanced forward? Because I've got it in my head. He's going to be a better deep line forward. I mean, pace-wise, he's definitely not going to be quite as good. Work rate-wise, he's not going to be quite as good. D-line forward, doesn't on attack any better? The flair, the vision, the passing, yeah, it makes more sense to me to do that. It makes much more sense. So I think we're going to do that, to be honest with you. Stick with my original plan, stick with my convictions. But I think in that position, it makes sense to do 4-2-3-1 because then we've got, not Conte, we've got Mason Mount, we've got Pulisic, we've got Sterling, or whoever's in that front three coming in and causing all kinds of problems for defence while Havertz drops back almost like a bit of a false 9 without being a false 9. So we're going to go with this to begin with, and then again, if we get another striker in, maybe we go for 4-3-3 and we find somewhere else for Havertz. Maybe we convert him into like a Mazzala or a central midfielder on attack. Maybe we put him out wide. I don't know. Havertz has to be a massive part of this team, obviously, but I do think it will depend on what we can get in. If we can get a decent striker in, fine. If we don't, we'll work what we've got. But that is going to be the team. We are looking for a striker. I've already set up a recruitment focus in the squad plan. I'll show you that in a minute. I've also set them up for a right winger and a right back. Right back, we have got covering Cesar Azpilicueta. I've got to be honest with you, though. He's getting on a little bit. He's an excellent player, don't get me wrong, but he's 32 years old. His pace is non-existent. I am looking at Cesar Azpilicueta as backup for all of these positions. So I'm considering carrying him as those and having him be emergency backup, in which case we need another right back to come into that position. Right wing is a little bit more complicated because we've got enough players. We've got Sterling, we've got Pulisic, Mount can play there. We've got Ziyech, we've got Aubameyang, Broja can play there. We've got a lot of players who can play there. Pulisic is only 2.5 star, as is Ziyech. Ziyech is the older of the two with less potential. As a result, on the transfer list. Loftus-Cheek was already on the transfer list. I would be open to keeping him, but if we can move him on for a decent amount of money, I'd be open to thinking about it. They're the positions we're considering moving players on and bringing players in for. But if we have to start the season with this squad, I'm not going to be unhappy about it. Now, having said that, we do have a decent amount of money, £30.5 million, as we did cash in all of the clauses that were along here. There were a bunch of them. So we have added money into the transfer kitty before we've even sold anyone. So we can sell some people. On top of that, we'll have an even bigger transfer budget, which will be great. But in terms of the squad planner, I'm sure you've seen it by now. This is what it looks like. I'm really happy with how it looks, actually. As you can see, we've got the strikers listed here for the season after next season. Current season, it looks like this. We've got Pierre Aubameyang in for, how long is he in for actually? Until 2024. That's a long contract for a 33-year-old. But he's in. Hopefully he can do a job for us while he's here. Hopefully it will give chance for Broja to grow. We might send Broja out on loan if Aubameyang looks like he's the business, or if we bring another striker in, because I think Broja could become an absolute superstar for the club. But we need to give him time to grow, and that's either through game time with us or game time with another team. But as you can see at the top here, the focuses are here: striker, top focus, and the other two as normal focus. But I really like how all of this looks actually. The beauty is as well, if we bring in another striker, Kai Havertz immediately goes back to being an attacking midfielder, and he goes back probably, if I'm being honest, with that finishing, to being a shadow striker. I reckon. I think he could do a really good job. But that's how that looks. If we have a look at the full squad view, I think the squad looks pretty strong already. There are a few 2.5 stars there, a few more than I would like necessarily, like in goalkeeper backup, in striker backup, in wing as well. Wing we definitely need to sort. We need at least one top quality winger to come in, maybe even two. But we'll have a look and we'll see what's available. But I think I'm going to leave things there, because what I'm going to do now is a bunch of transfers. I want to do those off camera because I want to get used to the game as well, if I'm honest. And then what we're going to do is we'll come back for the first game of the season, which is against Arsenal. Because it was never going to be an easy team, was it? Let's be honest. It was never going to be an easy team. But we'll come back for Arsenal, and hopefully we'll have a decent result. One thing as well that I didn't know about, and I don't know if it's been somewhere and I've just missed it. Look at all the substitution spaces. We've got 12 in there already. But if I right click here to add someone else, we've got a 13th. What? We can actually go up to 15 substitutes, which I didn't realise. That's going to be for like friendlies and possibly like Champions League and European games. That's insane. It's not a game changer or anything, but that's insane. Also, the new defensive stuff. I've set it up how I think I would set it up. The defensive line one, I'm not too sure. You know, do we want them to press into the midfield, or do we want them to drop off a little bit? That I don't know, so I'm going to leave it off for now, see how it goes, and we might mess around with that during some of the pre-season friendlies. I haven't fully decided on that yet, but we're going to leave things there, and hopefully we're going to go into this season, and third place would be good for me. I'd be very happy with that. 2 players in the Dream 11 as well, by the way, Raheem Sterling and Reece James. I'd be very happy, if I'm honest, with finishing third. The aim for this season, I think, has to be that top 4. Ideally, top 3. I'd like to not be the 4th team. I'd like to finish in that top 3. And I'd like then, next season, to push on with a bit more money in the squad and aim for the top of the league. I mean, with a bloke like Erling Haaland up front, who just looks absolutely disgusting, I do think we're going to struggle a little bit, but we'll do what we can. We'll see what we can do. And hopefully, by the end of at least next season, if not, we'll do a cheeky third season, we can call ourselves Premier League champions. That sounds good to me. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this first episode of The Save, please do leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss any Football Manager content from this face right here. Let me know in the comments as well what you like about FM23 so far, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.